Hey everybody, my name is Tuffy Maggio and I'm here with my co-host Jason Santana, and this is the Fourth Wall Effect, brought to you by Metaversity, your number one source for competitive and collectible news. So Jay, how's it going?
It's going good. I don't know why, but I have the giggles today. Just everything, I don't know, it's just having a fun day. But there's a lot going on with Metazoo competitive in the news, tournaments, a lot of meta changes, decks, things like that. How's Metazoo treating you?
It's been pretty good. I'm looking forward to playing at the Collecticon tournament this weekend. But what I'm really going for is the Vanilla Ice concert. Go Ninja, go. Oh yeah.
Is that actually his song? Is that an original songwriting by him?
Yeah, that's he had that song in the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, so that's why they have the Ninja Turtles with him. And he really does it up at every Collecticon. Yep.
I know I'm now more knowledgeable than I was before on Vanilla Ice. I only thought it was Ice Baby.
Oh yeah, no, I think he has a few other songs like during the 90s, like late 90s and early 2000s, he was doing like underground punk music and stuff, so
okay.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Nice. Well, you'll be playing in the tournament and I guess getting some stuff from Metazoo, maybe a promo or two, maybe a passport. I don't know. What's all there?
I'm hoping to get a first place medal because the tournament is a medal tournament. So first, second, and third place do get medals. There's a bunch of boxes being given out. And it sounds like Fajir recently told me that they are streaming the tournament. So that is really good news for all the players that are not able to make it and want to see what's going on in the meta.
Yeah, that's definitely good because we didn't have that opportunity at Long Beach to see what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was quite a few complaints about that one, but it looks like Metazoo's like, you know what? We're not going to make that goof again, and we're going to make sure to stream the tournament. So I'm
better
pretty
to learn from your mistakes.
That.
Always learning. That's good. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I'll be definitely tuning in and hanging out here, and we'll actually be having updates too because you're going to be walking around and sharing some updates from the show and updating our Instagram while you're there, and you'll have maybe a little help as well to go take some pictures and things like that. Maybe do an interview or two, hopefully.
Yeah, that's the plan. We'll be trying to get some interviews in, maybe even some deck techs, and do some top 8 deck techs with some of the players at the end of the event. Have them show off the decks, talk about why they played what they did. So we're planning on doing a lot of coverage.
Maybe even take a picture of a long line to get a promo.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's going to be long lines, but Saturday it sounds like they will have the tournament in a separate room, but right by the room that they're having the convention in. So a lot like Orlando, and that was kind of perfect. So we'll see how that plays out, and hopefully the players will get some of the convention exclusive promos too, because usually what happens is we're playing in the tournament, so we can't participate in standing in lines for all the promos and all that kind of fun stuff. So sometimes they'll be like, hey, you know what, since you guys are playing in the tournament and not able to do that, here you go. So I had Mike Waddell throw an egg at me in Long Beach. The plastic broke. So but yeah, Mike Waddell literally threw an egg at me. I can always say that.
But it was a plastic egg, no yolk.
No, it wasn't a plastic egg. It was a plushy egg. But the plastic
it was a plushie.
Broke. So,
okay.
Yeah. It was the first.
You said at Long Beach, or
did I say Long Beach? I meant said Orlando. Long Beach. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Orlando.
I was like, I didn't see you at Long Beach.
Yeah, that was actually the only Collecticon that I've missed so far. So I'm gonna keep it that way too.
I'm kind of sad I'm missing Kansas, but at least you'll be there representing the Metaversity.
Yes, you can live vicariously through me and my going 03 drop. Hopefully not.
No, don't say
You
that.
never know. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll hop into today's podcast since we've talked enough about ourselves. Let's talk about what's going on, and I think the best way to start off is to talk about the tournament play of what's been going on the last couple of weeks. You know, just to kind of recap and give some players an idea of what's been going on in the different various tournaments that have happened. And first, we'll start off with the Cardboardia $2,000 event held by the store Cardboard and Die over in Murrieta, California, SoCal action. With initial entry limit was 36, so 36 people signed up, which is a nice amount. 26 people showed up from what I can see on the MPN. And the winner who took it down goes by the name of John Bach. And his name on Instagram is Gucci.tcg, Gucci Geuce.tcg on Instagram. I made sure to announce his Instagram because we did get a chance to speak to him on his deck and how he took it down. And he was playing conventional lightning, Tuffy. You got a chance to look it over. What did you think about it?
Yeah, he was basically playing the standard kind of Quetz build, not really splashing for anything in the main deck, but he was trying to go a little bit faster than your normal lightning deck. So he was really leaning on playing the Orifax, like Lightning Glass and Chaos Crystal, to play Phantom Cars, Metal Man of Alabama, and get his Quetzes out as early as possible. So that's really good in the mirror sometimes because you're able to kind of stabilize the board by answering their cards a little bit faster. So, and then you just take over the game from there. But yeah, it was a really nice build, and I really enjoyed actually going over it. And he did give us a little bit insight on what he was planning for the deck build. So that was really nice.
Yeah, for sure. And this was back in September 3rd, so not yet developed in the new meta that we've seen, which we did have a video release on that a few days ago with Cosmic, but we'll get to that in a moment. But the prize for Jun was $300 cash. It was actually a really nice prize set. $300 cash, an artist signed Metazoo card, 2 UFO booster boxes, a spell book, blister packs, a backpack, a Metazoo backpack, a Metazoo playmat, and a Metazoo hat. So lots of goodies in there, and I mean, I'm kind of jealous because I still don't have a art card. So hopefully one of these days I can grab one. But great take home prize for John. Congratulations on that, and congratulations to Cardboard and Die over in Murrieta having this type of tournament, having that size of players, having the cash prizing and the stuff there. That's what that's what we really want to see. That's what the players want to see. They want to see prizes like this.
It is. And honestly, like these stores stepping up, putting out such great pricing is really helping the game grow because when players see, oh, wow, this game has really good prizes, let's go ahead and go for it. And it just really makes the game grow, makes people want to play. And as soon as people pick up Metazoo and learn to play the game and actually sit down in a tournament and play against people, they're like, wow, this is a lot of fun. Let's do it again. And that's just how it grows. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I wish I was there playing that tournament, really. Like those are some really solid prizes. I already got my Metazoo hat, but
I don't have a
need
backpack either, so I could have used the backpack. Well, after that September 3rd tournament, we had the Cast Society UFO Clash. That was a metal tournament over in Austin, Texas. That was on the 4th of September. And mentioning the video again, the winner, Herman Herrera, we did a full analysis on his deck and really just stating that this is the meta, introducing the Cosmic Lockdown. And that was a nice prize pool over at Caster Society. retail value about $1,100, and it featured 4 booster boxes from the UFO set, 3 spell books, 6 release event decks, a bunch of blister packs, 10 theme decks, and a bunch of Caster Society gear. And it was really nice. And something that is good to see from Caster Society by having these larger prize pools, because again, like you said, brings more players to it. And that tournament, was that tournament full?
Yeah, that was completely filled. So they,
But
I believe
it's
it
always hot
was
over there in
40
Texas.
people.
40
Right,
people,
right.
that's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Texas is a
That is
hotbed for Metazoo.
it is. It is. That's where most of the big tournaments have always been. But now, since we're seeing tournaments in other states starting to fill and that sort of thing, it's really showing how much the game has grown. So
Yeah, and just some notables from that tournament as well. We had in second place from there was the Lightning deck, piloted by Jesse Lawrence, which we just did a video on. It was a solid Lightning deck. 3 coming in third place was Phillip Henderson with the Loveland Lockdown. Uh, 4 Fearsome Critters with Speed Lemon, Michael Flaherty, and then 5 with a water deck from Doug Haas. Goes by the name of Dirty, nicknamed Dirty. 6, 7, and 8, we didn't get a chance to get names in, but they both featured Cosmic and one for us. So a lot of variation in those decks over there at that tournament just a couple, 10 days ago, 11 days ago.
yeah.
Good to see the variation, not just the same thing over and over again.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. It's really nice not seeing the top 8 full of just water like we used to months ago, or just lightning. Like there's a really good variation to all the tournaments recently.
Yeah, because you're not bringing a practice deck. Well, ideally, I guess you're not really bringing a practice deck to a medal tournament. You're coming there to win because that's a big prize. First place caster promo medal.
Right. No, definitely. Like a lot of these decks are tuned. People are testing with them all the time. I know Phil, he tests quite a bit. I don't know much about Jesse Lawrence. I know that Herman, he's fairly in tune with testing a lot. Speed Lemon, you see him quite a bit online playing. So, I mean, all these guys are just really good Metazoo players. And this was a very stacked event also, because if you look at the other people that were in the tournament, you're talking about Metakai, Easton, the current world champion. Um, I believe Ed Chalupa was there too. So that's, you know, 3 out of the top 8 from the world championships that were in their first, second, and 5th place. I believe Dom Servion, who got 3rd, he was actually judging the event. So it was a really high profile event because of so many like well-known players there. But we're starting to see more players kind of pop out of the woodwork from these other tournaments too. So that's really nice. And you know, let's say the next Casters Cup, we'll see, you know, even more of a variation in the top 8 probably, because there's more and more like genius level players coming into the game.
Well, we'll see, because we had following that week, we had the Caster Society UFO online series, which was week 3. That was on the 8th with an online event only series, and basically everybody there is playing for points. But that's probably one of the largest pools of players on a weekly basis. So a lot of people are testing through there still. There are people that are just experienced players coming in, faster players as well, especially with the online client. And that final matchup featured Phil Hyatt, and he was showing off a flame deck, which was interesting. But the winner wasn't Phil, but it was William Fairbanks, also known as Elevators, with a mono lightning deck. But you had some things to say about Phil and his flame deck, because you got a chance to actually do some type of coverage. Not really. I think you recorded that, right?
Yeah, I actually recorded it and done a little bit of commentating too, so that we could have some material to post later. But I had the privilege of watching Phil play giant salamanders. I imagine he played quite a few of them. So I don't know if he played all 10 that you could in a spellbook or not, but he played quite a few of them. And he also played Gassy. And Gassy was really good because he was also splashing lightning bolts and growth. So you use Gassy to replay your fireballs or your lightning bolts, and then you play growth to kind of refill your hand too, along with your New Year's New Beginnings. That is another draw engine in the deck. But yeah, it really gave Elevators a run for his money because he kept on playing Quets after Quets, and Phil was just like, all right, well, slam my Gassy, replay all these spells from my graveyard, and what you gonna do now? So it was a really tight match, and they did go to 3 games, and Elevators actually ended up winning the match, but it was so close. Like, I really enjoyed it. Elevators, he was just playing, a regular lightning deck, but he was playing Gargantuan Gliders as his big 5 drops. But
Mhm.
yeah, Phil just kind of he did make a goof in the 3rd game, and I believe that's actually one of the things that contributed to him losing. But Elevators, he played really tight. Phil played tight, and it was a really fun match to watch.
Well, I guess we'll see more of this perfecting of this deck from Phil, because Phil likes to work with a lot of different decks. I've played with him quite often just before the Casters Cup, and he has a bevy of decks handy. So he's an interesting player. He's fast, and I guess I can't wait to see how much more he perfects that deck and what he'll do for the next week. Now, following that one will be following that series that happened week 3 was Windy City Pop Shop and Caster Society teaming up over in Rosemont, Illinois for a $1,000 cash UFO sealed event. Now, typically we would talk about competitive constructeds, but it's good to note some of these sealed events that are happening now because there's cash involved and there may be medals involved as well, and a bunch of goodies. And what better way to celebrate it than having it at Dave and Buster's because that's where they had it. Um, and it's a fun environment, something that introduces people to Metazoo, bunch of games hanging around. It feels more fun. But the first place winner over there was You Overthink on Instagram. That's his name. Didn't get a chance to get his full name, but he was able to take home $500 cash, a signed LGS promo. I think on his Instagram, he also got a medal. I'm not 100% sure if that's something that he acquired on the side or that was through there. So kudos to him. And he also got a full kit of UFO product. So congrats to You Overthink, and congrats to Windy City and Castor throwing something up in the Chicago area.
Yeah, there's it seems like Caster Society is doing events kind of all over the place now, like in collaboration with these other businesses. And Windy City Pop Shop, I know he was really enthusiastic about running this event, and uh, I think a lot of people really enjoyed themselves. It sounded like.
Do you think like that Chicago area could be the next rising area for Metazoo, or do you think it would just kind of die out?
Actually, so with so many players at this event, it's a stark contrast from what it was a year ago. Because a year ago for C2E2, they only had like 8 people show up to the tournaments that they had for Saturday and Sunday. So those were medal events also with the original medals. And
Okay.
yeah, it
Now
definitely
C2
has grown
E2,
quite a bit.
that's a convention, right?
Yes. Yeah, they ended up having the tournaments though over at LGS store. Um that was close by.
Okay. Well, interesting. Glad to see that it's building up. And we'll talk about Windy City again later on with an upcoming tournament that he's doing again. But Following that tournament was the Dueling Brothers Sealed Grand Prix, another sealed competitive event. But instead of doing UFO, they did Nightfall. So they brought it back, which was interesting. That was over in Richardson, Texas on the September 10th. Now, on Windy City Pop Shops, they went 5 rounds. The guys over at Dueling Brothers did 8 rounds. So that was, I would guess that would be an arduous task to go through 8 different rounds to take it down. And the winner there was Kurt Cresswell from Team Gatekeeper. Never seen that team name before. I'm not sure if that's like one of those funny things that they put in, but maybe there's a new team rising up. But his prize, he got to take home a Wilderness Tops box, a 4th of July promo, and a first place stamped holographic card. Not too sure of the details in the holo card, but still, it's good to note that these competitive sealed events, a lot of entries in there, which means a lot of uptick in players. Always good to see that there's more events happening, more players getting into the game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like the cool thing about these sealed events too is that everybody's kind of on the same playing level, because since they're not constructed, everybody gets a sealed release event deck, and that has a couple packs. So you either get lucky or get unlucky sometimes, but everybody kind of starts on the same playing level.
Yeah, that's good. It kind of shows those beautiful minds that are playing the game. Now, following that tournament, we had Game Castle over at Westgate, San Jose, California. That was a competitive constructed. There was a large amount of entries there. I believe over 20 from that point. And the winner there was Diego Alvarez. Now, there was not a clear understanding of the prizes that were distributed, but still, again, a large amount of people, another winner, different area, different city. Good to see.
Definitely.
Lastly, that we'll cover as far as the notable competitive constructeds is a store called the Local Game Store. And they had the event Metazoo Metal Madness that was out in Richardson, Texas on 9/11. And that went 6 rounds with a top cut, with the winner being Logan Schneider, aka Mr. Run It Up. And he took it down with the Cosmic Lockdown. With the prize first place caster medal and the 2 UFO booster boxes. And Logan and Herman are on the same team. So it looks like they took it down with the Cosmic once again.
Yeah, they were probably playing, I imagine, the same list, or pretty close to the same list as last time. So probably focusing a little bit more on the laser beam gun upgrade versions. So it's really nice to see Cosmic is kind of taken over. It's no longer lightning or water, but that may be the new big baddie.
It's funny because actually UFO brings UFO Cosmic, that whole synergy with the names and the meta coming into play there, kind of Metazoo forcing the hand. But some other notables there were second place with another Cosmic deck was Doug Haas. Third, we had Water from Phillip Henderson. Fourth, Lightning from Mario G. Fifth, Flame from Chris Johnson. Sixth and seventh, both Cosmic with Alex and Nick B, respectively. And then eighth, Forest deck from John C. So some good names in here in this tournament as well. And just more Cosmic, 4 out of the 8. So 50% of the field there running Cosmic. And that's going to be our next topic that we're going to talk about is this Cosmic deck, what it's doing to the meta. And this first place deck list that we saw from Herman, probably seeing the same thing from Logan. As you noted before, laser beam gun, what is it doing out there? How does it work? Are they playing it the best way? What's going on here?
So laser beam gun is a equipment that basically says you can fatigue the beastie that it's on to make any target lose 30 life points. So you can, target your opponent's beastie. You can target your opponent, but also the really good thing about it is that it gets around beasties that usually have evasive traits like Burrow. You can actually use it on a Omikuk and kill it that way. You can use it on Quetzes, but one of the really strongest things to do with it is put it on another evasive beastie that has like the spirit trait. The spirit trait says the beastie with spirit cannot be attacked. So you stick the gun on that, and every turn you can fatigue it and deal 30 to something. So we've seen that in the feature match against Lightning. I think it was Herman versus a Lightning deck, and Herman just kept on pinging a Quetz and eventually killing it because he had a whole board of, I think it was 3 or 4 beasties with each had laser beam gun upgrades. So that was pretty crazy. Like anything that Jesse was putting down on the board, it was just dying. So that was really cool to see. And then the really big thing about the Cosmic deck, not only does Herman and Logan's play the laser beam gun upgrades, but it has the crazy Flatwoods Monster El Verde combo. And what that does is Flatwoods Monster from UFO basically says when you play it, name a page type. So you can name Aura, you can name Beastie, you can name Spell, any of that. And players cannot perform actions with that page type until I believe it's the end of the next turn. So if you play Flatwoods and name Beastie, your opponent cannot attack with a Beastie. They cannot contract a Beastie. They can't do any actions with a Beastie. Same thing with Aura. You name Aura, they cannot contract an Aura. Yes, they can fatigue an Aura to generate Aura to play another card, but they cannot play an Aura. So one of the big things about the Cosmic deck is that you want to get that combo going as much as possible. So you get your Flatwoods down, and then you get the El Verde entity and you play that. And what El Verde says is that you can return any number of Cosmic Beasties from your side of the field back to your hand. And then your next Cosmic Beastie that you play costs that many or less, equal to the number that you bounced. So you play El Verde after you play your Flatwoods. So you bounce your Flatwoods and then, maybe a couple more Beasties like Lizard People, and then you replay your Flatwoods. So then after you replay your Flatwoods, you play another El Verde entity to bounce your original El Verde and your Flatwoods back to your hand. So then you can play your Flatwoods and just play El Verde again. And just, it's essentially an infinite loop. And so if you get that early, let's say turn 2, and you're on the play, so you're playing first, you can just name Aura and lock your opponent out of being able to play their second Aura and essentially win the game from there.
Yeah, we did see that at the Caster Society UFO Clash, where Herman at the final table locked Jesse out by his own turn 2, taking that game down because Jesse could only play one Aura and there's nothing that he can actually do. He was stuck and he was there to die a slow death. And instead of doing that, he just scooped it up. And I experienced the same thing during Caster Society Week 3. By turn 3, 2 Aura on the field. Couldn't get the cards that I needed out into my hand. Not that I actually needed the Aura. I was fairly unlucky, but still quite annoying that it's there, it's combo. You just kind of stare at the field and you whittle away. Because Cosmic isn't that strong. You're not taking on 150 damage from a Beastie, 200 damage from a Beastie, and all these high LP killers. Instead, it's just staring at your cards while everything happens, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, the deck has definitely changed from what it used to be, which was fill the board up with a bunch of aliens and then get your what's his name, the ruler.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm blanking on the name right now, but
Reptoid Ruler.
Reptoid Ruler.
Sure.
Yeah. So you get your Reptoid Ruler out and then just pump everything and swinging for large amounts of damage. But it is changed to more of a combo deck. And what's really exciting for me is that I know what's going to happen, but Graze has not made it into the Cosmic deck yet. But the Graze ability is absolutely insane because when you contract a Graze for one aura, you look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a Graze, you can contract that for free. So essentially, you could play one Graze and get 5 of them out on turn 1. Some crazy things like that. But I do
That would be
think
quite the
that
top deck.
eventually that'll get there. Yeah, it'll eventually get there, but right now everybody's focusing on the Flatwoods combo because it's so broken. But
Now, do
I
you feel
can
as
see
though
Gray's making it in there.
do you feel as though you're thinking that Grays can make it into the Flatwoods El Verde combo, or that Grays needs to kind of develop on its own?
I think that it's kind of both because once there's an answer that is well known for the Flatwoods combo, then Cosmic is going to have to kind of pivot into a different direction or, add something else to it. Right now, the laser beam gun upgrade was a really good inclusion to go along with the combo in the deck. So there's a little bit more utility to some of the cards in the deck. But I think that eventually we will see a Grays Flatwoods combo deck because El Verde Entity does work really well with a bunch of smaller beasties. So if you could bounce all those back to your hand, play, your Flatwoods for free, or even Black Knight Satellite, play that for, what is that, 6? So you'd have to bounce 6 beasties to make it be free. But, it's really huge. So there's some development left, but it's probably just not the right time. So I
Yeah.
do definitely see it happening here in the near future.
Yeah, hopefully it just Cosmic just doesn't end up running the entire gamut and just continuously just steamroll everything because um honestly that deck would make me continuously cry if I had to play it all the time. Uh Now also we should note of second place from the store, local game store, that metal that, oh, what a tongue twister, Metazoo Metal Madness event, where second place was Doug Haas, and we did get a chance to talk to him briefly, and also he did publish his deck on Instagram, but he did have some things to say where he kind of built his deck around it being faster than these first place decks that have been appearing. And what do you have as far as your thoughts about how much faster it is, and what was he doing there?
So Doug's deck is definitely built to be faster and more consistent because he's cutting out the laser beam gun upgrades and just going full focus on getting the combo and the Flatwoods El Verde Entity combo. So his deck is a little bit more consistent on getting it out on turn 2 because he's also playing 5 Orifacts and 6 Lizard People. So when you're playing 6 Lizard People, and Lizard People has a contract ability that says you can search your deck for a Cosmic Beastie and put it into your hand. So when you play Lizard People, you can search for El Verde or a Flatwoods Monster. There's multiple choices there, but generally that's what you're going to be doing. So you play that. Um, like I actually built the deck and I was goldfishing some games, basically just playing against myself. I was playing with myself, um, but basically it was kind of crazy how consistent the turn to Flatwoods El Verde combo was because your opening hand most of the time is going to have Lizard People, and then a lot of the time you're going to have 1 to 2 Orifacts. But when you have those 2 Orifacts, let's say you're going first, you play your Orifacts, you play your Aura for the turn, and if your opponent doesn't answer those, then on your turn, if you have 2 Orifacts, that's and your Aura, that's 5 Aura, and if you have another Aura in your hand, that's 6. So when you play Lizard People, that's 2. You get to search for a Flatwoods monster, which costs 4 to play. So then you play your Flatwoods, and you lock your opponent out of aura. And it's really, really consistent. Doug did a great job with building the deck with that in mind, and he was trying to be a lot faster. And I think he done a really good job with that.
Yeah, no, that'll be interesting if you can get it there by turn 2 consistently. It seems that most people will need to have an answer for that turn 2. And I don't think Metazoo has any cards, or I'm not too sure what decks there are that can answer by turn 2 often enough to win to a finals.
Yeah, there's only a few ways to beat that. Like, um, you know, one of the ways to beating it is a early drop with a lightning in a bottle. So let's say, a 1 drop or a 2 drop that has, you know, a decent size HP or LP so that it can survive a Flatwoods attacking back. But, Mailman is one of those things, or a Metal Man of Alabama. But you also have to have lightning in a bottle. So your opponent has to have, a decent creature plus lightning in a bottle to really deal with it if your opponent does do an early Flatwoods. But most of the time, it's not going to happen. So most of the time, that turn 2 Flatwoods and building into that combo from there is usually just a GG.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it plays out in Kansas City because, we'll probably see a lot of Cosmic there and we'll end up experiencing that. And also, what's interesting to note from Doug overall in general was just before that event, the week before, when he was playing at UFO Clash with Caster Society, he was kind of testing a little bit of this water deck that was happening with a little bit of rebobs, dark with the water. Explain, I'm confused.
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting deck. So it's a water deck, and it splashes for Napa Rebobs and Growth. But Napa Rebobs is the big kind of focus here, because his deck was all about getting out Napa Rebobs and putting a power up red on it, and then playing multiple lightning in a bottles to kill your opponent, because Napa Rebobs says that if there's a banana with an eyesight, double this page's attack damage against casters after modifiers. So what that means is, as long as you got a banana for your 4th wall, when Napa Rebobs attacks your opponent directly, it doesn't just do 25 damage, it doubles. So that's going to be 50. But if you have a power up red on it, that's plus 100 to the attack. So that the attack would be 125. Doubled, that's 250. So if you attack with it 4 times in a row, let's say from lightning into bottles, then that's GG. That's 1,000 life points. And that's quick.
That is quick. Wow, that'd be interesting to see how that develops. So, a few developing decks in the mix, and we'll end up seeing how those continue to play out over the next couple of weeks. Wow, it just seems like there's a lot of testing going on, a lot of possibilities that are happening in Metazoo as the card pools start to get bigger. But what's still interesting to note is Phillip Henderson in 2 back-to-back major events taking 3rd place with the Loveland lockdown. And it seems as though water is creeping back in, or at least Phillip Henderson has found a way to make water work for him, and he seems like he's all in with it. So, I mean, what is happening with water? Is it still the same as it was before?
So, first of all, Phillip Henderson is a very good player. He's a fantastic water player. He has tons of experience with water. When I first started playing, Phil was on water along with the rest of his team, but he's been playing water forever, and his water deck isn't too much different than what water was during the Just Cryptid Nation and Nightfall sets. But he does play a total of 47 cards. Now, 47 is quite a few cards, but there's a lot of card draw in the water deck anyways, because you have crabs, you have Chessie, you have frogmans, you have tidal pools is one of the newest inclusions that came out from Wilderness. So there is a lot of card draw there, but some of the newest inclusions from his water deck, he does play Mailman also, but one of the newest inclusions is 4th of July, which basically 4th of July says after you play it, neither player can attack until the end of your next turn. So that's a stall card for the Frogman because you play Frogman, play 4th of July, your opponent can't attack it. Frogman's magic proof. You know, it's just really, really good in the water deck.
Now, in that,
another new card.
Not to cut you off in that particular case, but even if 4th of July is in play, you can still use Frog's power because that's not an attack.
Right. That is its power. That's an ability. So you can use abilities of beasties, powers, that sort of thing, contract effects, but you cannot declare an attack.
That's like basically 2 to 3 free turns for water if you just keep your frog out. Huge stall. It's a good play.
Yeah. Yep. Smoky Spirits is a card that kind of done the same thing before, but it just stopped one attack. And then your opponent couldn't attack the same thing if you only had that page in play, that a non-order page. So if you only had one frog in play, your opponent attacks it. You play Smoky Spirits, they can't attack it again. But if you had frog and another beastie, you play Smoky Spirits, that just stops one attack. But 4th of July stops it all. So it's definitely a really good inclusion. And
you had said that you had said that Mailman is still on this deck. We had talked about Mailman and why we were a little bit nervous about Mailman because of the change in the confusion ruling. So a recent ruling change came out as an official Metazoo announcement. It just works totally different than expected before. Can you go into more detail about that?
Yeah. So basically a little bit of history on the Loveland Mailman. It wasn't known as a good card before the water mirror match was very prevalent. So people were trying to figure out ways to break the mirror. And lo and behold, somebody by the name of Ed Chalupa, who's a very innovative player in this game, came up with the Loveland Mailman tech. And so Loveland Mailman just has a 35 attack on it, but it has confusion. Nobody really thought that confusion was a very good ability until Mailman was found out to be a good card because of the confusion. So what confusion says is basically when a beastie's confused, you flip a coin or roll a dice. If tails, that beastie's attack is essentially negated, and then the beastie takes damage equal to the damage that it was going to deal in the attack. So let's say it's a 50 attack beastie, or actually, let's say you're attacking with a mailman into a Wallowa Lake crustacean, and the mailman has a 35 attack. Crab says it takes half the damage, so it only takes 15 of that damage, but then mailman confuses the crab. So since the crab is confused, you have to roll a dice or flip a coin. And if it's tails, then the crab would deal damage to itself equal to the attack power. So if crab has a 40 attack, then it's going to take 40 damage. So that's 55, and that is crab's HP, and that would kill a crab. So that was what was really game breaking in the mirror match. And so whoever had the mailman had an edge, because if you didn't have mailman for the water mirror, you were definitely behind. And mailman also has unblockable too. So it was really hard to get around, like in the water mirror, just, stopping your opponent from attacking your crab. Sometimes you would have to use more resources than you really wanted to. And so,
but now it's different. So if you're attacking a crab, crab has stone skin, and now that attack, that confusion, doesn't deal that actual damage anymore.
Right, that was the newest rules update on Stone Skin. So Stone Skin does prevent confusion damage. So now if your opponent attacks with a mailman into your crab, it does do 15 damage and your crab does get confused. And but if you get a tails on the confusion flip, it no longer takes the damage. It does negate the attack back, but it no longer takes the damage. So mailman lost a ton of value in the water mirror. Now it's not to say that mailman isn't good against the other decks, which it's a really good blocker. It has 60 LP. I used it quite a bit as a blocker. It does have 35 attack. It's unblockable. It has fleet, so it's still a solid card, but it used to have what, a 300, 350 price tag on it. And luckily it's come down, but now you don't need 3 mailman for the water mirror anymore. But Phil in his list actually does play a full set of 3. And I was really surprised by that, but maybe he knows that it's still actually good against other matchups. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was the sacrificial lamb. You were sacrificing your mailman in order to take down a much larger beastie, one that was going to give you a lot of headache. And you've said before in the past, water hasn't been played that much. We haven't seen water really make that rise again since Caster Cup, and even during Caster Cup, water took a step back, where we saw more lightning players because everybody was anti-meta, anti-water at that time. But now it's possible that water is making a comeback, or can make a comeback, has the chance to come back into the meta. Why?
well, the reason why water has a pretty good chance at coming back, and I think it is because lightning is not playing radioactive hornets. One of the biggest things about when wilderness came out was everybody was kind of freaking out, like, okay, how do we beat this water deck? And then lo and behold, radioactive hornets became uh, a staple in the lightning decks. So by lightning not playing hornets and electing to play Wakinians now to kind of get the faster quets instead of worrying about the water beasties before, now is kind of a time for water to move in. Also, potion is not being played in a lot of the lightning deck side decks. And that was another card that was really good against water because of Smoky Spirits, lightning in a bottle, being able to prevent those cards from water being able to utilize their frogman early on was huge for the lightning deck. But now lightning's changed so much that it's not really as good against water as it was before. But another reason that water may be making a comeback is because it's better against it's better against the cosmic deck. And cosmic is beating lightning, so it's almost like a rock paper scissors kind of thing with you know um water water beating lightning, but like kind of having a little bit more of a solid matchup against lightning. But then cosmic is beating lightning out, so it could turn into a meta where it's just cosmic and then water swoops in and starts playing. Mailman actually does, I believe, handle the Flatwoods monster, so that's a 2-drop, and you can play Mailman, attack with it, confuse the Flatwoods. You may have to use another lightning in a bottle to deal with it too, but there are those tools to interrupt that, to disrupt the combo. So since it has that, I think that it's got a really good position coming into this new metagame, and I really do think that it has a chance.
Now, if you're a water player and you're thinking about playing water in this meta, September going in October, what do you think is going to be the difference of how water can actually get better? I know you had mentioned that Phil is now playing 4th of July, which is extending his ability to keep Frog out in the field. Is there another card that you may see, something on the horizon, maybe something that not a lot of people have been paying attention to?
So there's actually two. One card that Phil is playing that is kind of surprising is USO, which is essentially a 3-drop. It has 45 attack, 60 LP, and it's a flyer. So there's that. But the biggest one that I actually did not see in his list that I was kind of surprised, but it is very limited, is Manaya. That is a New Zealand regional promo, but it's so broken because all you have to do is pay one water aura and you can send it from your hand to the afterlife and you can bounce any beastie in play back to the owner's hand. So it's not a spell. It's not something that can be countered by any card that's available in the game. And you can do it at any time. So there's situations where you can bounce your own frogman back to your hand. You can bounce your opponent's quets back to their hand for only one water. And it's a really good tempo play. Your opponent plays a power up red on a beastie. Guess what? Well, you know what? I'm going to pay one water, bounce your beastie that has power up red. It gets rid of your power up red. You have to replay your beastie. It's such a huge tempo play. And it gets better with the fact that also you can respond to your opponent playing a spell like New Year's New Beginnings, bounce one of their beasties. Guess what? Your opponent just discarded one of their own beasties, and you get a new hand, and it just snowballs from there. Manaya has so many different. I could talk for hours about Manaya, honestly, but if there's any Magic players that is watching this, Manaya is Unsummon, and we all know how Unsummon has been a part of Magic ever since Alpha, the beginning, and it's always been good. So, yeah, that is Manaya.
Even though it's expensive, that's in real life. I say real life like we're not in real life, but real life as in live play. But on TTS, it's more accessible because on TTS, if you're playing an online tournament, you can just go ahead and play that card. Any card that's printed, at least from the rules that we've been playing with on Caster Society, any card that's printed is accessible when playing on those formats. So still accessible for many people. I think there's only a few available on the open market. We're looking at an expensive card here just for those people that are looking at the secondary market, $500, $600, $700. And you may see a couple floating around for anywhere between 2, 3, 400. I mean, it doesn't get any harder than getting something that is regional from a location that we don't see a lot of activity from on the secondary market, and then it's going to be even more expensive. So I guess the good thing about it is that a one drop, so you don't have to worry about buying 2 or 3.
Right. No, exactly. Manaya being a 1-drop is definitely a good thing, especially, like you said, it's so limited. So pick them up now before it's a year from now and they're, $1,000+. I'm no
Did
financial expert
Unsummon
or anything like that.
did Unsummon ever get that expensive? Or
No,
has it ever
Unsummon's always
seen
been
that
a
type of value?
common. It's
Oh
always
wow!
been a common. even when it was first printed in 1993, it was always a common. So
But a
seeing
staple.
that and yeah, I mean it's always a staple in limited, which is like draft and sealed, and it's always been a really good tempo play. Like it's seen a lot of constructed play and everything else. But there's even better cards that have been printed in Magic than Unsummoned that do the same
Well,
thing plus more.
let's
So
let's not give Metazoo any ideas.
yeah, that's for sure.
Now, moving into Lightning, as far as how it's coming into how it's kind of fallen back from the meta as Cosmic moves up. Uh, what does Lightning need as people start playing more against Cosmic or even playing against Water? How can Lightning get better now in order to maybe combat Cosmic, or kind of get that number one status again?
I believe that Lightning needs to play more main deck removal. Lightning Split is a very good spell. It does cost 4, but it's able to kill that Flatwoods. As long as your opponent doesn't play it on their turn 2 and they're going first, then, that's kind of just almost an auto loss anyways. But generally, if you're able to kill that Flatwoods, then they just rely on their beasties. But the thing about Lightning is that Lightning plays that beastie, who has the better beasties game a little bit better than most decks, than pretty much any deck, because you have such cost efficient beasties that are so big. Like, Quetz is a 40 attack with first strike, but if you have Lightning Storm active, it's a 90 attack. So it only costs 4, and 90 attack is huge, well above average. So I think that Lightning definitely needs to play more removal to deal with the Cosmic deck. But also, another removal spell that kind of helps with the aggro matchups and a little bit in the mirror is the Witch's Lightning. Witch's Lightning deals 20 damage to basically 3 different targets. And so when you're able to have that reach with one card, being able to deal 20 to 3 different targets, it was really good back when Lightning was playing the Radioactive Hornets, because all you had to do was play Witch's Lightning. You could kill all 3, the 2 tokens and the Hornets. But now, since Lightning is moving away from that, Lightning is now playing less Witch's Lightning and, more just all about like kind of getting your Quetz out as fast as possible. But I think it does need to transition to a little bit more removal, maybe even splashing. You can splash for Hateful Demise, which only costs 2 dark, and that does answer a Flatwoods monster. That does answer the Quetz in the mirror. It does answer a lot of beasties. So they need to play more removal and play Radioactive Hornets again. I know Radioactive Hornets isn't the best in the Cosmic matchup, but I think if Lightning moved to play maybe even, Wikinians and Radioactive Hornets, kind of like the second place deck list from the Long Beach tournament, that player was playing Hornets and Wikinians, and he did really well, lost against the Frost deck in the finals, but did go through some Cosmic decks. And I think that is the way to go, because then you're dealing with water, you're having a little bit better of a Cosmic matchup, and then Lightning can take that top spot again. But it does have a little bit of ways to go, and that's all a part of metagame development. Seeing these players change the decks based on results of other tournaments, trying to stay, 1 step ahead, 2 steps ahead, and just it's always changing. You'll never really see like the same exact deck list win a big tournament, and then the next week the same exact deck list. It almost never happens. It's always going to be some kind of variation.
Well, that's interesting because, with how many tournaments have been played just recently in the last 2 weeks, and tournaments that are coming up within the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a lot of development in these decks in the meta as people kind of start figuring out Cosmic. They start figuring out if water's going to work again, if Lightning could really hold onto its own. And they're going to find these out through these bigger tournaments that are coming. One of those is going to be Kansas City, which is on Saturday starting, and that's a lot of potential. We're going to see a lot of Cosmic for sure. Absolutely 100%. Everybody's going to come ready. We're probably going to see a lot of Lightning because a lot of players understand that deck. And maybe we might see some flame, more, some critters still. Maybe we'll see some water. You're going to be there, Tuffy. You're going to be playing. What are you playing over there?
So I will go ahead and just say it right now. I am playing Cosmic. I feel that Cosmic is just that broken right now. And especially, I'm going to be playing a more faster build, so I won't be playing the gun upgrades main deck, but I will have them in the side deck just in case in those matchups that it's pretty good in. But the first game, I want to go all about the combo. getting it out as fast as possible, winning that game one, and then moving on to the more technical game 2 and 3. But Cosmic is just that good right now, I think.
I like how you can, with Cosmic, you can kind of play into the meta within the meta, because your opponent's thinking, oh, is he going to be with the combo? Is the combo the win condition? Is the gun going to be the win condition? Is it going to be the lizard people? Is it going to be with the terrorists? There's so many different ways. I think there's a nice mix that Cosmic can have in the game, that you always have to look at your opponent, kind of stare them in the eye, think about what kind of hand that they're going to play, what kind of hand are they holding, uh, and it's going to be interesting. Those that can really grill their opponents and kind of figure things out. Those players might actually be the ones that are holding that first place medal at the end of the day there.
Well, I hope I'm the one holding the first place medal, um, but yeah, I mean, it's the matchups are so technical. Like, I think in the Cosmic Mirror, like after the side deck, I think the Cosmic Mirror is usually going to come down to who plays first. And if that player that plays first has a more accelerated hand, and if they do, that's just kind of going to be GG. But if they don't, then, is the person going second, do they have that kind of accelerated hand? So there's a lot more mulliganing and just trying to set yourself up for that quick win in the first game. And then, like I said, the side deck, after game one, it gets to be a lot more technical.
Yeah, and if you can't make it out to Kansas City and figure out if your Cosmic deck, Lightning, Water, or whatever is going to work, there are other smaller competitive constructed tournaments that are happening. And we want to go over those because those should be celebrated. That's where you should go ahead and measure up your deck with everybody else. With the first one being Cards to Go over in Robbinsville Township, New Jersey. That's on the 18th. We've got Tabletop Village over in Seattle, Washington, also on the 18th. And we're seeing Windy City Pop Shop again, Metazoo partner, Windy City, partnering with a local game store there called Perfect Circle Games. That's over in Niles, Illinois on the 24th. That's announced as a metal tournament. So I'm sure we'll get a lot of interest there, a lot of players. And then we've got Caster Society with Caster Guild teaming up over in Houston on the 25th. And that's already filled. So you can be a spectator. Maybe some spots might open up, but that is also a metal tournament. And just going, I mean, I feel like I'm going to go all throughout the United States here. PokeZoo holding a Procaster at Level 7 Games over in Federal Heights, Colorado on the 25th. That's also filled. So really interesting how these tournaments are filled up already. There's 10 days to 2 weeks left. And I think that's a great sign. And even Tuffy, earlier, you had said to me, I tried to fill into a tournament, but you tried to get into a tournament, but it was fill already, but it was so far out.
Yeah, it's actually one of the more local tournaments. I was trying to register for a seance release event, and it's already filled, and that's a month and a half away. So it's crazy, but I love it. Like, even though I can't play in it, I love seeing it because it just means the game is growing, and more players is always good. So, hats off to Metazoo for growing so fast, because it was just 6 months ago that on the Metazoo Play Network, there's only like a dozen tournaments listed. So now we have tournaments from all around the US. We go from a dozen to now hundreds. So I'm really excited to see the future of this game.
Now it just means that more LGSs need to have more events. Contact Metazoo. If you're at LGS and you're listening to this, contact Metazoo, become a partner, get an LGS kit, start it. It may start off slow, maybe in your local area, but soon enough, like you said, 6 months is not a long time before things start filling up and you've got a nice crowd going. And moving on, we're moving to a different state, just to mention now, over in Connecticut, the city of Seymour, with Dr. Cards and Gaming has another metal tournament, one spot left. That's on the 1st. That's October 1st. So one spot left over there. So we just moved from the south end, the west end. Now we're in the northeast. And then moving back to the Midwest, there's Lincoln Sports Cards and Gaming has an event called Battle at the Midwest Toy and Comic Fest. That's on the 1st of October. That's a pseudo environment, but they're actually holding it in a carnival. So maybe it's on the outside. Maybe you get to see the lights from the Ferris wheel. Maybe you get to have a funnel cake at the same time. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's honestly, I'd love to be a part of that myself. Being able to, like you said, see all the carnival rides and all that kind of stuff. I would assume that they have it in a building, but you never know. It's Metazoo. They can have it outside. I mean, I wouldn't put it past somebody doing something crazy at a carnival, like you play your matches on a Ferris wheel. I mean,
final table.
Right. So table 1 at the very top, but yeah, I mean, that's Metazoo. We've played in a decommissioned church before. So, it's crazy, but I love it. I love it.
And all those tournaments that I've mentioned are either going to have 8 or more players. Most of the ones that are filled that are metal tournaments, they're seeing 30, 40, 50 players in those tournaments as well that have signed up. And I mean, that's just absolutely great. But there are some bigger ones that we do want to mention. And I'll let you take the floor on this next one here because it's over in Georgia and you have something that you want to announce with that one.
Yeah, so this tournament is the Gubu Hobby $1,000 tournament. So it's essentially a 1K. It is the biggest Metazoo tournament that's been held in Georgia. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, how many people show up. There's definitely going to be well over 20 people, and it's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on September 24th. And something I'm really excited about. So not only will I be the head MZO for this event, but we will be covering that event, recording the feature matches, doing some player interviews, deck techs, all that kind of stuff. And once we get back, we will be posting that online, but we'll be taking all those recordings, doing some post-production work, and we're going to, provide some really good content for you guys from that tournament.
Yeah, so it'll be recorded. We're going to do post-production, like Tuffy said, and expect something around the 30th, going into the 1st of the weekend. We'll try to get on the 30th just to kind of see some more coverage, maybe some metagame advantages that we may see change over there. And then we've got an even bigger one on the 1st of October that we're also going to be a part of, and that's going to be King of the Chill. And that's going to be the first international tournament held in 2 different locations. One location, Fort Worth, Texas. The other location is in Canada. The intercontinental battle begins.
Yes, the U.S. versus Canada. Yeah, it looks like they're going to take the top placings from the Saturday tournaments from both locations and put them head to head on TTS. So it literally will be the US versus Canada. So a international extravaganza that everybody gets to enjoy. And, having TTS available really helps things like this happen. And I really applaud the tournament organizers for really doing this because, like you said, it's the first international tournament for Metazoo, and there's not many other games that really do. I mean, I haven't heard of it before. Taking 2 in-person tournaments, taking the top placings of each, and sticking them head to head for a good battle.
For sure. And what's special is that one is that Metaversity will be casting it live on site from location, and we expect that to be absolutely awesome.
Yeah, we got a lot of plans in store for that, and we're all about offering fun and quality, and this is going to be a very good quality stream, and it's all about the players. So we will be covering feature matches, and we'll try to add in some extra stuff in there too, but it's all about like highlighting the players of the day, highlighting the tournament, you know. So I'm looking forward to having a really good time because I'm going to be one of the commentators. So it looks like also we will have a another commentator on board, and he goes by the name of Speed Lemon. So Speedelmon is going to be my co-commentator for the event.
That's awesome. And you'll have two heads battling it out. I know, Tuffy, you're the Magic player. Speed is the Pokemon player, and you guys should have some interesting commentary to talk about. Kind of like the different worlds that you guys are in. I know that you mentioned before to me, before the show, that you kind of battle it out with some cards, whether or not what you're gonna play, what's better, what's worse.
Yeah, here recently we were debating for probably for probably a few hours over Discord and in a text whether to play one card over another. I don't really want to divulge the information on that card, but let's just say that I was right, and he will eventually admit that. But we do have two differing opinions because of our backgrounds. Like Speed, he has the Pokemon background. I think he has a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh under his belt too, and I have the 20 plus years of Magic along with all these other games. But Speed also has had a few professional jobs doing commentary for very large Pokemon events and that sort of thing. So
Very cool.
if there's somebody that you'd really want by you on the mic, being a co-commentator, Speed is a really good choice, and I'm so glad that he was willing to join me on this ride.
Yeah, and if anybody else, any other local game store that's holding a bigger event that needs some help with it, you want to have some coverage, whether it's online, recorded, Metaversity would be more than happy to help put something together, coordinate, and make it and highlight the store, highlight the players, highlight the people that are around you. Let's make this game bigger. Let's get the name out there. Let's celebrate the players. Let's celebrate the stores that are working really hard to get this game out, and to celebrate Metazoo more and more, because we certainly love our Metazoo. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this podcast. We wouldn't be creating this content if it wasn't for Metazoo. And thank you for that. And that just about does it for this podcast. So if you liked enjoying what you're listening to, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us on all our social media channels, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. It's Metaversity TCG, all one word, Metaversity TCG. Feel free to reach out to us. Give us a follow, give us a like, and we'll keep providing you with quality content every week here on this podcast, as well as more videos and articles over on our Patreon, which you can join today as well. And I'm excited, and I appreciate you guys for listening. Any last words, Tuffy?
Thank you all for listening, and we will catch you next time.